Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Economist Unplugged. Today, we have with us Lonnie Hobbs Jr. from K State. Lonnie, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I've been to two of your presentations and I've really enjoyed them, and I know that you're doing exciting things. So glad you could join us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Fabulous. I ask all my guests this question. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and including a fun fact?
All right, sure. Well, Lonnie Hobbs Jr., originally from small town called Clarksville, Texas. From there, I went and got my undergrad degree in agribusiness from Prairie View A&M University. Then went on to get my master's and PhD in agriculture economics here at Kansas State. I was fortunate enough to be hired right out of the program to start into an assistant professor role, which I am going on my or finishing up my third year in this role. So, very excited to be in the position that I am. In terms of fun fact, let's see, I am ambidextrous, so even-handed, both right and left hand. So even though I do a lot of writing and things with my right hand. So yes.
Oh, yeah. Um, we have a name. So I originally come from India, and in India we have a name, a term for ambidextrous as well, and that's a very common
Yeah.
name for men
Hmm.
in India. And I even have a good friend with that who has that name. And there's a person who's also world famous fashion designer whose name
Really?
means ambidextrous. Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, exactly. Fun. So you are doubly efficient.
Yes, I try to be. We'll see how that goes, though.
My next question for you is what's one of the best parts of your job right now?
Got you. Great question. That's kind of hard to answer too. A lot of my job, I am 60% teaching, 40% research, and I love both aspects of my job. When it comes to the teaching side, just being able to work with the students, we have a good crop, a good grade of students here that is very interested in agriculture economics, very interested in commodity futures, which is the course I teach, and also interested in food ag business marketing. So just being able to work with them and just seeing when that light bulb goes off and they actually understand the topic, like that is one of the most refreshing things when it comes to teaching. And
Mhm.
then for my research, just being able to discover the unknown. I am working in a space, the pet food space, where it's not a lot of work done from
That's
the ag
right.
econ space. So just being able to answer questions and help people to understand more about this industry, like I absolutely love that too. So, like I said, it's kind of hard because I love both aspects of what I do.
You have the problem of the plenty,
Very true.
which is a good problem. I'm going
Yes.
a little bit off script here, but I don't think you'd mind.
No.
Can you tell us how you got interested in working on the pet food industry?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, I was invited to join a grant proposal during my master's, and this was early on in my master's. And as a part of that, I needed to go do a literature review on the economics literature in the pet food space. And when I went to do the lit review at that time, this was back about 2017. There were only, I think I may have found anywhere from 5 to 10 papers total on this space. And of those 5 to 10, there may have been 3 to 4 that were US based.
Mhm.
And it let me know that there is a big literature gap. And at that point in time, pet food was still hundreds of millions of dollars in the US industry, tapping on billions of dollars in the global industry. And for me, I recognize that this is a massive industry, yet the amount of economic literature was very few. So myself, my colleagues, we decided to try to tackle this and just answer as many questions as we could, help to try to make somebody's life easier within the pet food space. So yes,
That's amazing. Largely, well, it's very exciting, of course,
yes.
but I think it's amazing to be kind of being at the leading edge, if you will.
Yeah. It's amazing, yet it is frustrating, yet it is scary at times. It's very frustrating though when you are trying to answer things and there are some parts about it that you know from your own personal knowledge, but because there's no literature to back it up, it's kind of hard making those statements and claims. It's very frustrating when you are trying to take things from other industries and apply it in an industry where it's very nutrition focused. So a lot
Mhm.
of the publications and outlets in that industry don't really understand fully what you're doing. So it's a tale of two ends. And it's really about understanding who you're targeting with the work that you're doing. And based on that, it guides you in what you need to be communicating to that audience.
Well said. Absolutely. Yep, that's very, very insightful. Um, my next question for you is, and this is something that I continuously, think about in my own career, is
Hmm.
to you, what is the definition of professional impact?
Ooh, great question. For me, professional impact is, and I'm going to take an academia's point of view for this, okay, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Professional impact in academia is two-sided. It is pre preparation for the next generation that's coming into the industry. So making sure that our students are prepared, making sure they understand the different industries they're going into, but also understand the skills required to be successful in that industry. And that is both professional skills and soft skills. So from an
Mhm.
academia preparation standpoint, it's making sure our students are prepared to go and make an impact in the industry. From a research standpoint, to me, professional impact is, as I said earlier, making the lives of somebody else a lot easier. Whether that is your policymakers, whether that is other researchers, whether that is
Mhm.
industry decision makers, finding a way to make someone else's life easier with the work that we do. And that could be shedding light on something, that could be making connections that hasn't been done, that could be even just being able to statistically correlate different things together that we suspected were related, but had no test or had no findings to show that. I mean, just really putting yourself in the work that you do in a position to make somebody else's life easier.
I really appreciate you kind of providing a list of what impact looks to you.
Yes.
I Because that is so beneficial. Like that's beneficial even to me to kind of thinking about, oh, I can think about impact in this way, that way,
Yes.
and in
Yes.
many, many different ways. And I really want to kind of go back to what you said about students, right? And what you are
Hmm.
talking about is preparation. You're not just talking about teaching
No.
or instruction.
No.
Talking about preparing the individual
Yes.
for outside
Yes.
of the university setting.
Yes. And I preach that to my students. It is bigger than just the topic itself. Of course, I want you to understand the topic. This can be something that can be useful. But more importantly, I want you to gain the skill sets that can help you no matter which direction, which industry that you go into. I got some wise counsel and wise words one day that said, if you really look at it, only about 20% of your success in whatever industry is technical knowledge that is related to that industry. The other 80% of your success is dependent on your social skills, how well you communicate with other people, how well you work well with other people's, etc. And if you really look, even even breaking it down as simple as interviews. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of interviews that you see, they're not really technical based. It is more social. It is more, can you work well with others? How do you handle situations? How do you respond to this, etc.? How interested are you in this position? So really taking it and understanding and looking at it from that perspective, for me, that's what it's all about. How can we prepare our students to be well-rounded in not just the technical knowledge, but also the social and soft skills that they need as well?
That is, you are absolutely right. In fact, when I was on the market a while back now, a friend of mine who is now an administrator at Siena University in upstate
Hmm.
New York, he said this. He said that, you have demonstrated all your technical knowledge if
Yeah.
you made it to the top three or top five.
Oh,
After
yeah.
this, it's all the people skills.
All people skills. That is it.
They want to know how you can, how you can
Yes.
do your work while interacting and collaborating with
Yes.
others. Oh, yes, you
Absolutely.
are absolutely correct. Great, great. I want to go back to what you said
Okay.
about your research work in the
Hmm.
pet food industry. And I'm just using that as a kind of a segue into my next question,
Okay.
which is that, I am personally always interested to know about the different, the skills that people have learned on the job,
Hmm.
the different
Oh, yes.
hacks, if you will,
Oh,
because
yes.
there's no documentation of that, I believe,
No.
out there that, we can benefit from.
Yep.
So
Yep.
even, in the teaching realm and the research realm, are there
Hmm.
some things that you've learned along the way that you can share with us?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will say the biggest thing that I've learned in both areas, the compound effect of time. Allow time to work for you. If you are, and I had to learn this the hard way early on, but consistent writing of 30 minutes or 1 hour a day over a 2 to 3 week period adds up more than you writing for 3 hours one day and then after that you don't touch it again for 4 or 5 days. So what I had to do is get really consistent and really intentional with setting aside small blocks of time that compounds over time and adds up to the amount of time that's required to get something completed. And that is in my teaching preparation, but that has been very helpful in my research and the way that I prepare for my research. Um, from a research standpoint, I set aside consistent time each day to look at the market to see what's going on. What kind of industry news is coming out? What kind of new academic publications has came out in my area or something that's related to what I'm doing. So set a time each day it's almost kind of like a lit review, but it's both academia and industry publications review. And I mean, just 30 minutes a day, sometimes that can drag on to an hour, depending on how interested it is or how much of a rabbit hole it sends me down. But just setting aside time each day to review. So then by the time I get to writing my introductions, writing my lit review and background on different papers, all of that knowledge I have went through. And I've also documented it. I've saved it. I've used things like Zotero, etc., and really documented what I've read. So then as I sit down to write, my actual first draft is everything me writing off the top of my head. It's not me writing a little bit, going to find this, going to find that. It's writing and it's me saying, as I'm writing to keep the flow going, cite here. If I know it's from this specific paper, cite from such and such and keep it going. That's one of the biggest things that has been helpful, setting aside time each day to write.
Mm-hmm.
And I read this in a book, a couple books actually, but Destination Dissertation. And in that book, it said to make sure that you separate the writing and the editing process. And I struggled so much early on trying to write the perfect sentence. And then after 2 to 3 drafts, that sentence is completely gone. And I just spent 2 to 3 hours trying to get the perfect sentence. But what that book helped me to do is separate that process of writing and editing. So usually to prevent myself from trying to edit, I'll write either on my laptop or write on a computer where I can either dim or turn off the screen altogether. And I am just writing, just completely writing. I'm not looking at editing anything. I'm not looking at anything like that. It's completely taking my thoughts and putting it on the paper. And then from there, it makes the editing process a lot easier, but it makes the manuscript writing a lot easier because you're getting things on paper faster. So I completely separate those processes. When I set time for writing, that time is for writing. I also set time for editing later. That time is for editing only, not writing. So just finding different tips and tricks like that has been very helpful. Um, Even to a certain extent, just excuse me, even to a certain extent within the writing itself, like I said, when you are writing, focus on writing. Focus on writing. I can't emphasize that enough. If I need to cite something, I don't stop to try to go and find a citation. I put cite such and such, keep it moving. Because I even stress this to my grad students in the world of academia, especially in grad school, but even more so academia altogether, your progress is not measured by how many articles you have read. Your progress is measured by what you put on the paper. So, in between meetings of me meeting with my grad students, I tell them, I don't care how bad it sounds, put it on the paper. And from there, you can go back and edit as much as you want. So that's a few things that has been helpful. I have so many tips and tricks. Like I literally have a book that I just write different things down from different people that I get or different types of pieces of information that I get. I just write it down. Um,
Yeah, I've started doing that.
yes.
I am concluding my 3 years of editing for JR,
Yes.
and I started kind of, writing down all the things that I have learned in this role,
Oh, yes.
that I can keep for my own reflection, but
Hmm.
also, if necessary, if the opportunity ever presents itself, then pass it on
Pass it on.
to
Absolutely.
others. That's great. I was when you were talking about your writing um, strategy, I was thinking
Hmm.
about all the different times that I've actually not followed any of the things that you are talking about. I am a great believer in these writing challenges. I've done two of them
Hmm.
already, and I really am very, very productive during that time. So I
Yes.
did this writing challenge, I think in Jan or Feb. And then I wrote a lot of the paper, and then, I kind of had to look elsewhere and do other things.
Yeah.
Then I
Yeah.
picked the whole thing up last week. I don't remember much. And I was like, oh my God,
It
I have to.
happens.
Yeah, and the thing is, yeah, that
It
thank you so
happens.
much for sharing that. Now I
Of
have to
course.
find a way to basically maybe have another conversation with you where you can talk about all the things that's there in that book, but
Oh yes.
maybe you shouldn't, because you should publish it. And
I may at some time.
yeah,
We'll
there you
see how
go,
that goes.
there you
Right
go.
now it's just things that I willingly pass down to different people, even my grad students. I'm like, hey, here's this. This is what I've learned. If there's something that you learned that's not in here, let me know and we can add it in here.
That's
So,
fabulous. That's such a great public good. So thank you for doing that.
of course, of
That's
course.
awesome. That's awesome. um you know Looking ahead, what do you think are some of the most exciting developments in your field of
Hmm.
research and teaching?
Of course, of course. There are so many things that are coming ahead. Of course, as you know, the whole AI movement, AI in teaching, AI in research. There are so many uncertainties, and a lot of people see it as a negative thing. For me, I'm more adaptive and embracive.
Hmm.
So trying to figure out what are some ways that we can use this for our benefit to either increase productivity, increase our ability to learn, increase our ability to grasp and conceptualize different knowledge and different topics. So I am doing some work in the AI space, both from a teaching standpoint and diving or dipping my toe into the aspect of research and AI. So that's something that's always exciting because of how rapidly AI is evolving. But from a more pet food focused space, this concept of alternative proteins, man, this is something that we are seeing that consumers are yielding more and more that they want. But yet we're still trying to figure out what's the best route and what's the best alternative. And when I say alternative proteins, these are plant-based proteins. One really exciting that I am helping to try to shape the market in is the insect protein space and just understanding how can we improve consumer acceptance? How can we increase the flow and value chain for insect protein suppliers? How can we bring down the cost of insect protein?
Hmm.
It's so many things within this industry that we are on the forefront of doing that I'm just really excited about. It's so many things that we get to do with this. And I mean, a lot of it is things that we can, like I said, help the industry as a whole. It is helping the policymakers around this. It is helping the suppliers of this. It is helping the producers and suppliers of pet food altogether, helping the consumers. Like we are touching all aspects of the value chain when it comes to this. So it's some really exciting stuff. And I have a few papers that are coming out about this and then have some more research in store about it too. So you'll be seeing it
Very,
soon.
very exciting times for you.
Yes, 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 yes.
Cool, cool. You've said such great things about the kind of work you're doing, all the things that you're learning. Is there any weakness that you need
Um,
to address?
I would say one of my biggest weaknesses is wanting to take a bite of everything. I'm almost like a kid in a candy store right now. There are so many interesting topics, so many interesting areas that I'm like, I want to do this and I want to do that. But then I recognize that we do have a time constraint. And one of those valuable lessons that one of my older mentors and colleagues here told me is you will get to a place where your time will become more valuable than anything. And as you get different opportunities to come your way, you really have to assess to see if you can realistically contribute the way that you would like to. And if you cannot, it is okay to say no. So one of my weaknesses is getting to a place where I can say no on certain things. And I mean, there are certain topics that are completely unrelated to anything that I'm doing. Of course, those are easier to say no. But then there are certain topics that they want you on different things that you see can be beneficial and you see potential areas from this and that, but sometimes you don't have the bandwidth to be able to do it. And those are when it's really hard and really tough to say, no, I can't do this right now. So that's something that I'm working on day by day, but I mean it is tough.
Well, I'm glad you didn't say no to this.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So
Not at all, not at all.
I'm very glad about that. What is some advice that you have received, and you've talked a little bit about this, that you
Mhm.
would pass on to people who have a passion for teaching, especially?
Gotcha. My advice when it comes to passion for teaching, it is there is no one size fit all approach. What works this semester may not work next semester. What works for this group of students may not work for the next group of students. So teaching is not just about teaching and communicating the information to your students. It's about communicating it in a way that your students understand and can receive the information. So just because you've gotten into a rhythm of, hey, I'm going to teach this subject this way, this is what I'm going to say about it, this is what usually works. What I'm recognizing is over time, you have to adjust because the student's mind frame is different, especially with the rise in technology, the rise in social media, etc. Attention spans are different. What they connect to and relate to is different. So
Mhm.
really being able to understand your students, connect with them more, ask them questions on what works for them, what doesn't, etc. That is the biggest way that you can be an effective teacher and sustainably be an effective teacher. It is really understanding that communication is a two-way street. The best way, and I took this from my marketing expertise and marketing research, it communicating something is only half the battle. Making sure people understand what you communicate and even get to a point that they can communicate it back to you
Oh,
is the
yeah.
other half of it. And I feel like as teachers, as professors, especially on the college level, where you have a certain time that you're in class with your students, after that you don't see them again for another day or two,
Right.
as opposed to high school, elementary school, middle school, where you see them every day for a certain amount of time. It's easier as professors to get in a mindset of they come to my class, they have to pass my class. I'm just going to communicate this way, and that's it. But really focusing on being effective, you have to understand what works well for your students. So really just understanding communication is a two-way street, constantly and continually work on that.
Yeah, and you raise a very important point. I was in a Last Friday, I was in a webinar where the topic was about how do we teach Gen Z learners,
Hmm.
Gen Alpha learners,
Yeah,
and that, it's just different
it's different.
generations
Yes,
of people,
yes,
very different from us.
yes,
And how do
absolutely.
we reach out to them?
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
it's what is it? It's daunting to me personally, but at the same time, it's a challenge and an adventure
Oh, yes.
for for sure. So
Oh,
my
yes.
you talked a little bit about this. You've talked about the pet food industry and
Hmm.
your work in the AI space. So, what
Yeah.
are some exciting things that Lonnie is planning to do in the near future? Right
Mm,
before we started our conversation, you said that you have some travel in the summer related
yes,
to work
yes,
stuff, which you're excited about. So, yeah,
yes.
what can you
So
share with us?
in the near future, well, one, I'm wrapping up a few grants that I've had over the past couple years and publishing some of the research from those grants. Very exciting about that because we found some very interesting things as it relates to the pet food industry, sustainability, and just what it is. So much ambiguity around sustainability in itself. So just
Yeah,
being able to provide some clarification on that. Also, myself, my colleague Alex Shanoin, my colleagues in grain science and animal science, we have been invited to Taiwan here in a couple months for their pet food conference, where we'll be just kind of laying out some of the things that we do here at Kansas State and what works for us, and helping them to develop their market there. So very excited about that
yeah,
travel, very excited to just go and share some of the things we're doing, build connections and relationships there. Got some personal travel coming up too. My wife and I are coming up on our 1 year anniversary, so very excited
nice.
about that. To go and spend some time with her. And just really, man, like I said, just enjoying everything that is coming. We have our National Pet Food Conference, Pet Food Forum here next week in Kansas City. So excited to go and just kind of share with the industry. I have two students that'll be doing presentations there, talking about some of our research. So just being able to see them in that atmosphere and help them to put things together of not only the work that we do from a research standpoint and in the lab and doing data collection and all of that, but seeing them see the full process of communicating that to industry and how that's helpful for them, the questions that it generates for them, how we can take those questions and turn them into future research. Those are the things that I'm excited to see them see. So it's a lot of good things coming here in the near future. I do have some other things in store here over the next year or two. I can't really share those just yet because we are trying to get some final tips and finalize a few of those things. But when they come, it is going to be some game changing and industry changing things. So very excited.
Can I just say that I'm really excited and so excited at, for you
Thank you.
to see all the things that you are doing and all the things that you will do, yeah, in the future. And, maybe years later, I will kind of look back at this conversation and
Oh,
think
yes.
about, when you showed up for the Economist Unplugged and shared all the things that you wanted to do. And at that time, you'll be like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's done all of those things. But I hope to see you at the AAEA meetings in
Of
Kansas City
course.
later this
Yes.
year.
Yes, yes. That's another one that's coming up. It's so many. It's so many.
I know,
But
right? And it's because I have a couple, one other conference to go to before
yeah.
that. And I was talking to my friends, and they're like, oh my God, that is so far away. I haven't had a
Yes.
chance to think about it. But great. Thank you so much, Lonnie,
Of
for
course.
this excellent conversation. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. And I must say, I'm excited for you and I appreciate what you're doing. Even just this podcast, being able to get people together to share the things that they're doing to be able to help someone else. Like that is golden.
Thank you.
And we'll be able to look back on the many episodes of this and be able to see one, how it's transformed and transpired, but over time, you'll start to see the impact of it. That is very rewarding. So I must say kudos to you, and I really appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always nice to hear kind words and nice words being spoken about oneself, right?
Of course, of course, of
Great,
course.
great. All right. Thank you so much, Lonnie. Have a
All
great
right, thank
day.
you. All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye bye.